Dr. G. Satheesh Reddy, Secretary Defense R&D and Chairman DRDO to come over to the dais. Dr. Srinivasa Reddy, Director, and Dr. Shailaja to accompany him to the dais. Dr. G. Satheesh Reddy is popularly known among his students as Junior Kalam and Next Generation Missile Man of India. Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Srinivasa Reddy to welcome the chief guest with a medicinal plant, please. Thank you, sir. I request the dignitaries to proceed for the lamp lighting. Thank you, sir. May I now request Director Dr. Srinivasa Reddy to introduce the chief guest to the audience.
Good afternoon. Again, welcome you all again for this continuation of our program. So, Dr. Satheesh Reddy does not require introduction. So he is well known for the achievements of DRDO. However, for the sake of inspiring young colleagues and students, I would like to give some information. Dr. Satheesh Reddy is a pioneer in the area of R&D of advanced avionics, navigation and missile technologies. He is an institution builder and has set up mechanisms to establish a robust defense development and production ecosystem. Dr. Satheesh Reddy is working towards fulfilling the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji in making India a drone hub. I am sure his efforts will ensure that India would lead the world as a drone hub in the coming years. Dr. Reddy's encouragement through the scheme Dare to Dream has ensured an increased number of startups working with the DRDO. He has a vision in showcasing Indian defense products at various expos across the world. As a result, many countries are showing interest in our indigenously built products. Dr. Satheesh Reddy played a key role in establishing DYSLs. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this one, but this is one of the ambitious program. DRDO Young Scientist Laboratories, they are called. Idea behind this is very, very interesting. There are 5 specialized research laboratories located in 5 different cities of India. inaugurated by the Prime Minister of India. So they are in Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata and Hyderabad. So each laboratory deals with a focused area of science. So I was given to understand that there are 5 areas like artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, cognitive technologies, asymmetric technologies and smart materials. Something interesting about this, as per the norms laid out for these laboratories, everyone, including director at the lab, is under 35 years of age. So that's something interesting they came up. So Dr. Satheesh Reddy is conferred with honorary degrees of Doctor of Science by many leading universities in the country. He is the first Indian in over 100 years to be conferred with the prestigious honorary fellowship and silver medal by the Royal Aeronautical Society, London. He has received numerous other honors, awards, including American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, that is called AIAA, a Missile System Award. So he is the first scientist outside USA to be awarded the nearly almost like 4 decades. So Dr. Satheesh Reddy is being at the helm of affairs of the country's strategic sector. He is a down-to-earth person with tremendous memory and presence of mind. So I'll give you an example. Recently I witnessed when I met him at his office in Delhi a couple of weeks ago. So to invite him for this very event personally. His routine at, I came to know that his routine at office extends almost every day, very often, like beyond 10 p.m., late in the evening. And I wondered when he took me to, basically when I was there, he was attending another important meeting with the directors across the country. It's a big boardroom. So he came out and he spent some time with me. Then after that, he took me inside that boardroom. So he introduced me to all the directors of various organizations of DRDO. So the way he introduced, basically he picked up each person's name and where he is coming from and what he is doing. So that shows that he is fully aware of all the information. And also he wanted me to connect with them to work, collaborative work in the future, wherever mutual interest between DRDO and IICT. So where are opportunities he asked me to connect with them individually later. And thank you very much, sir, for gracing this occasion. With this I request Dr. Satheesh Reddy to take over the podium and deliver lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Very good afternoon. Dr. Srinivasa Reddy, Director IICT, Sri Chandrasekhara, Srimati Shailaja, and all other scientists of IICT, the former directors and eminent personalities, and the employees of IICT. Very good afternoon to all of you once again, and namaskar. Firstly, my apologies. I couldn't come at 12 o'clock or 11:30, whatever it was thought. So I had some very important work which I couldn't finish it off before that. So we had to postpone it to the afternoon. IICT, of course, I've been interfacing with IICT for many years, and particularly when I was there as Director Research Center Imarat here. We have been closely working. We have worked out how we can collaborate and come out with many things what are required for the defense, and or otherwise as a dual use technologies also, what all we can develop is one thing what we try to work together. In fact, even before that, there was a very important program what we have taken, developing very critical and specific and very accurate navigational sensors, which are optical sensors. In that, we worked with IICT for making some of the compounds what are required in making this gyroscope. And IICT has worked out and has come out with many of the compounds, and which we have used and very successfully. Otherwise, we were dependent on getting all these compounds and materials from outside, which actually IICT, I think it was Dr. Krishnamurthy actually was there, who was working, and he worked with us passionately and then developed those things, and we have been using it, and it has become a very important part of these sensors. And that sensors actually made the country self-reliant today, and we are able to incorporate that navigation system across the ships, across the aircrafts and aviation systems, and ground and land navigation systems, and some of other applications also we are able to do. Otherwise, we could have been dependent on the foreign countries to get these sensors, and we would have been continuing that. Thanks to IICT, and my heartiest congratulations to IICT on this account. Also, we have actually thought about many things which we thought we can work together. Particularly, we were working on some of the most modern batteries, power supply systems, wherein the electrodes or electrolyte, these development we were trying to work with IICT, whether it is lithium sulfur or lithium air batteries or sodium ion batteries or magnesium ion batteries. These are some of those batteries where we thought DRDO and IICT can collaborate and work together and come out with that. In fact, a lot of action points have been generated, and some of them try to work together. Even now, some of the laboratories are still working on many projects with IICT. And if you look at IICT has done enormously. Last time when I came, there were lots of presentations, a lot of industries which have come up, who have been using the technologies of IICT, who have come out in the chemical technology, developing many chemicals and related things, which actually have been put into practical use, and industries are producing in volumes, is one thing what I could see when I came here last time during the presentations given by various people, particularly people from industry. And also, I heard during the COVID, the vaccines what have been developed, the adjuvants which are there used in the vaccines, they are also again have been worked out by IICT, and that's how they have been given. Otherwise, the vaccine would not have been fully indigenous, or otherwise would have been dependent on some of those adjuvants from outside, and would have been using them continuously, importing them from outside. This is one of the major contributions of IICT towards the vaccine development in the country and production of the vaccine in the country. And similarly, if you look at it, many of the drugs which have been used during the COVID, they have been actually repurposed by IICT and came out, and that's how these drugs were available in multiple forms across the country for the entire population and could use during the COVID pandemic. Again, that credit goes to IICT. So a lot of things which have happened, and lots of industries, lot of hydrogen hydride, whatever you're getting established in Gujarat. I was just talking to Mrs. Shailja on this, and she was saying that a large plant is coming up in Gujarat based on your technology, which will be very useful in the coming years for the country. Likewise, there may be many more which probably I am not very sure and I am not very informed about achievement. But then I have been discussing earlier also with various people, Dr. Chandrasekhar and others, the type of activities what you have been doing, the type of developments what you have been doing, the type of industry interactions what you have been having, shows that what is the contribution of IICT in the nation becoming self-reliant and Atmanirbhar is enormous. So I should actually appreciate the efforts of all of you over the years, what you have done and what you have developed, what you have achieved, and then what you have made, transferred the technologies to the industries, and industry coming up with the bulk production of them is one thing, a commendable job. And so my best wishes to you and congratulations to you on the occasion of this 79th foundation of IICT, and wish that in the coming years you will be able to do a lot and make this country completely proud of this organization, IICT. Actually, I have been seeing that one thing, definitely this country has all the capabilities and abilities to develop most of the things. And it's only that we have to determine, we have to find the ways, and we have to set our goals and move and work towards that goal is what is required. If you look at the same example of COVID pandemic, how this country has come up and developed many things what are required. One is, we have developed in this country vaccines, 2 vaccines, and 2 different types of vaccines, and which have been used and which have been very successfully have been tested, evaluated and used. And similarly, as is said some time back, with your help, repurposing of various drugs which have come out. Similarly, many things which are required as a medical equipment or otherwise for the COVID pandemic, many things have been developed in very short span of time. Let's say you just take the example of PPEs. The PPEs in this country, before the pandemic, they were getting about 47,000 per year. 47,000 is the number what was getting produced. Probably yes, one thing is there was no that demand. But then as the pandemic has come, the demand has come up. And multiple industries and multiple laboratories across the country started working on that, and various types of PPEs, and with various conditions of breathability and whatever breathability you need to provide, and working for those conditions, and testing laboratories across the country to test these PPEs. And these all have been worked out. Maybe, if I am right, more than 400, 500 industries have been developed in a short span of about a month or 2 months. Just in a span of a month or 2 months. Before that, it was thought we should import from some other countries these PPEs, and whereas, if I am right, in a span of about 30 days, we reached from 47,000 per year to more than 6 lakhs PPEs per day. That was the number what has come, 6 lakhs PPEs per day, and probably the number would have gone up much higher later also, and people started exporting to various countries in a big way. This is one thing. And similarly, COVID-related many products across the country, every lab, every establishment in the country, whatever they have started making many things of that, and then started producing them and started making it available to the entire nation. Ventilators. This country, we didn't have a high-end ventilator available for this nation. Yes, there were one industry or 2 industries who were producing some very limited number of one kind of ventilator. But then, when the government has given the mandate, we all work together, the R&D organizations, the private industry, the public sector industry, how to develop a high-end ventilator. And in fact, when you are trying to develop that, you have to depend on many small parts from the world. You take it small valves, the pressure sensors, or flow sensors, and many things. These were not available in the country, and during the pandemic, they were not available from outside also. And you see that all those small critical components and sensors, they were developed in a very short span of time, and then the industry started producing them in large numbers, which become part and parcel of the ventilator, and all the people worked day and night, and then right from design stage, design, development, test and evaluation, go to various hospitals, doctors, and test it, number of hours, number of various patients or other test parameters at various hospitals, and within 3.5 months, more than 30,000 ventilators were produced in the country. Just 3.5 months, right from design, development, testing, and whole production with all these critical components coming, and where you had a lot of problems for the industry to run the industry also, out of employees not being there and employees not coming to office and things like that also, this country could produce. And then 2 more industries have produced another 20,000, and more than 50,000 ventilators were available in about 3.5 to 4 months period for this country. That is another great thing, shows that what is that capability this country has. Then the next pandemic, the oxygen problem came. And you need oxygen everywhere, every hospital. And so you started working on hospitals, the oxygen generating, the PSA plants, which generates the oxygen, and worked on that. And again, varieties of types of products in that, whether it is 500 liters per minute or 1000 liters per minute, or what is the type of zeolite you have used, calcium zeolite or sodium zeolite, and what type of it and how that it works, and various mechanisms. And again, mid of the COVID, making those parts, small parts to bigger parts. 20 or 22 industries were given the technology in the span of about just 15 days to 20 days, and they all started working. And it was, Honorable Prime Minister very clearly said, every district should have at least minimum 1 or 2 oxygen plants in the hospitals there, and see that in about 4.5 months' time, 1,000 oxygen plants were produced in this country. They were installed at various places across the country. Talk about everywhere, whether you talk about Jammu Kashmir, Srinagar, you talk about northern states, Mizoram, Nagaland, or Andamans, everywhere they have been installed, and live parameters in a dashboard, and what is the oxygen, what is the oxygen content, what is the flow, and all these could be monitored at central location, what was done. Imagine, where there was no technology available. It was just an onboard oxygen generation system, which is developed for a fighter aircraft. That technology has been transformed and then made this. So likewise, many things actually, oxygen cylinders, they were not available. You had to develop some oxygen cylinder based on aluminum extrusion technology, and that technology was developed. And within no span of time, 1.5 lakh cylinders were produced, which need not be in the hospitals, even in the care centers and the centers which have been come up for COVID. These cylinders have been supplied where oxygen was available to the people through these 1.5 lakh cylinders, and then you were able to monitor his oxygen levels and automatically control the oxygen flow, and all that was also done. All this happened in a very short span of time. So I'm just giving an example. When you look at, there is a requirement, and the scientists of this country, the engineers of the country, or technicians of the country could stand up, could come out with solutions, and a very short span of time, where many of the things otherwise could have been coming continuously from the outside the country. So that is the capability what is existing in the country. It's only that we have to utilize this capability. We have to set our goals very clear, and then work for that goals, and also make the mechanisms very simpler, easier to do it. In fact, I can tell that this is one of the important things, mechanisms. Honorable Prime Minister has created a group of secretaries who can actually sit together, look at the need, look at the various aspects, decide what to do, how to do, who will do, and what are the support mechanisms and all that. And there were days when there were sanctions were given, approvals were given. Within about 3-4 hours or maybe 5 hours, even tenders floating, quotations getting, negotiations and order placement, hundreds of crores, which normal process we could have taken about 6 months to 8 months or 1 year probably. And those things have happened during the pandemic. So we also have to find mechanisms how we can simplify the process and work that very efficiently we are able to maneuver and manage is one of the important things we all have to look at it, and then we will be able to things achieve. See friends, when you look at Honorable Prime Minister has given the call, Make in India. Make in India, he gave the call as we have seen that many of the things were getting imported, equipment or various products, and you try to make those products or produce those products in this country. Whether may not be having a know-how, know-why, but at least you produce here in the country. Yes, definitely with the know-how and know-why producing is very good thing. Yes, produce wherever possible, wherever you are able to do, wherever you are able to even get the technology and with the complete know-how, know-why you produce here in the country. If you are not able to do that, but at least produce here in the country so that it is made here in the country. This is one thing. So that call which made many things come up in this country, lots of things have been produced here in the country and lot of things are getting manufactured here in the country. And if you see the indigenous content in various places is going up, including in the armed forces where Minister of Defence has come from, lots of the percentage of the indigenous content in the armed forces is gone up tremendously. Second, again give a call that Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India. I strongly believe when we say self-reliant India, it is nothing but you should have a complete design capability. You should be developing here, development. You should be having the capability to produce, manufacture in large numbers, volumes. And then you also have the capability for upgrading them or life cycle maintenance and many other things. This is what is self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the country technologically becomes self-reliant. You are not dependent on any critical thing from outside, and you have the complete know-how and know-why in the country is what is the meaning, along with the manufacturing capability. See, producing in large numbers with a sustained quality is also very, very, very important for any product. So, working on that you are able to produce them with state-of-the-art technologies. I am saying this is very, very important when you are producing. You should have the right manufacturing technology, which actually makes your life simpler. It is produced at low cost, produced at high quality, and then you are able to sustain. And you also use the technology in such a way that you are able to produce in large volumes. So this is one of the very important things. And so, self-reliant India, where you are able to design, development and produce here in the country. Then the call again given by Honorable Prime Minister is make for the world. Now it is just not for this country. You have to produce it for the entire world. So if you have to produce for the world, that means your product has to be the state of the art or an advanced technology based product, and then only you will be able to sell it across the world. And the product has to be produced and it should be at a lower price, a cost comparative price system or product, whatever it is. And then your quality is also good. Sustained quality. This I keep using the word, meaning whatever you make the first batch or first product or whatever it is, after 10 years also, or otherwise millions you produce or tons and tons you produce, tens of thousands of tons of material, you should be having the same quality what you had the very first batch, what you have produced with all your concentration. So this is very important. If we are able to achieve all these three things, then definitely we can sell it in the world. That's very, very important, where we are making the product for the world. See, one thing is very clear. If we have to become prosperous and economically very strong, it mostly comes from technology. And if this country becomes technologically advanced, that actually automatically makes you economically stronger and prosper, and you become a very strong nation. So it is our duty, all of us who are the scientists and engineers here who are there, or various other fields also, to make this country coming out with most advanced technologies and doing the research towards that in a collaborative manner with the academic institutes, R&D laboratories, and the industry working together. This is one of the important things what I want to again mention here. See, it's our duty to see that good academic institutes or research happening in the areas what we need. Whichever area, whatever the subject you choose, whether it is chemical or polymers or various types of other aspects or biology related aspects and all that, there should be a core research happening in the academic institutes. It's chosen very clear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each subject, maybe 2 academic institutes or 3 academic institutes, or there are 3 professors along with maybe 10 or 20 research associates working. They should be continuously working on these advanced, on the core research, which will actually pave the way for the advanced technologies. And so that basic research and the core research mostly should happen in the academic institutes. Then definitely, of course, applied research also should happen in the academic institute. The one thing. Second, laboratories like us, wherein we take these inputs from these academic institutes, and then we also, of course, we will be doing in some areas the core research and the basic research, but probably we concentrate mostly on the applied research, which actually takes from this TRL level 1, 2 to TRL level 5, 6, we take it. And then from there where the industry gets involved, and industry works towards the translational research, how to produce in large quantities, bulk numbers and all that. And then complete production it takes. Probably industry also should be doing definitely a research in the niche areas. This whole system should work. So that is where the concentration in the country, particularly last couple of years, on industry coming up in these technologies and encouraging the industry to come out with advanced technology systems and products, and also supporting them for exports in a big way. Lots of things. In fact, I can say about in our own MOD, to support the exports, a lot of things have been brought in, lots of simplified processes, and industries are encouraged for going into exports in a big way. Whatever processes are required, they have been simplified in a big way. When I talk about industry here, one thing is, firstly, there have been a lot of encouragement to the youngsters. The young talent of this country, they have been encouraged in a big way, which actually, if you look at about 10 years back, probably many of our engineers from this country were going outside this country. If you look at any IIT, probably 80 to 90% of the students 10 years back were going outside this country. And also there was some other phenomenon. Many of the students, independent of what branch, what subject you belong, you were going into the ICT area, information communication technology area, and you were trying to work in that. Whether even as a civil engineer or in a metallurgy engineer, he was trying to work in that area. That's of course, we can understand the opportunities were more, the opportunity was not that much in this area, and all that was there. But from that scenario, today the scenario has completely changed. If you look at most of the IITs, probably I think around 75 to 80% of the students are staying back in the country today. They are not going anymore now outside. And these students, which as I said earlier were trying to go more and more towards information communication technology area, now they start concentrating on many areas. I can say youngsters just of the age of 22, 23, they are working on propulsion technologies, rocket motor propulsion technologies, or the propulsion what is required for interplanetary motions. They are working on various materials which are required for this sector, and which I know more and more in the aerospace or defense sector. People are working on composites, and people are working on composites which can actually withstand higher temperatures. In fact, I can mention a couple of startups in this city itself who have worked on this and who have come out with this type of a composite materials. They are working on green propulsions, they are working on engines. So you look at many of the technologies our youngsters started working. Today, we have more than 70,000 startups registered with the Department of DPIIT. More than 70,000. And probably unregistered, there must be maybe another 30, 40. So we have at least more than 1 lakh startups in this country, which we were having a very handful of startups in this country some years back. So this is a revolution. This is a sea change what has happened. And similarly, when you look at them, the encouragement what these youngsters are getting is enormous. The type of support for innovation is coming from the government. Various departments, they have come out with many schemes which are supporting the industry, the startups or MSMEs for the innovations in a big way. Many departments. Let me talk about my own department. We have a scheme in Department of Defense Production in MOD called IDEX, which promotes innovations in a big way in the youngsters and startups and industries like that on various themes like I think what Dr. Srinivasa Reddy was saying, the drones related area, a lot of support has been given to youngsters. And there are so many people who have come forward and who are working on drones and varieties of technology of drones which are being used in a big way today. And there was an exhibition which Honorable Prime Minister has attended recently, which has actually been initiated by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. There are more than 100 startups in the area of drones who have exhibited there, which was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister. And it is working towards and already has become hub for drones. So there are many industries which are working this. So there have been schemes like this IDEX which were supporting this, which are supporting coming out with a great contest and all that and try to identify the talent and support. In DRDO, there is a scheme called Technology Development Funding, which actually supports again MSMEs, startups and industries to come out with many technologies. And 90% of the funding is given by the Technology Development Funding. And in fact, there are many industries which have come forward. There are about 60 industries which have been funded from this scheme for various technology developments. That includes new technologies or the system which we are importing from outside or a part which we are importing outside or a new system what we need to develop or new technology we need to develop can be funded in this. And then industries, startups are encouraged in a big way in this with 90% funding. And the funding limit till about a month and a half back, it was 10 crore rupees. Now Honorable Raksha Mantri recently approved to take this 10 crores to 50 crores. So 50 crores can be funded to any youngster or startup or MSME or any industry for many technologies development in the country. In fact, it is given the facility also in a such a way, if the industry, if a student is just coming out of college, he may not have all wherewithal to establish an industry. Then if he is part of any incubator in the university, through the incubator, the individual can be still funded and he doesn't have to have an establishment. He only has to register a startup. Incubator is there, he is part of the incubator. Through the incubator, you can fund him this 10 crores, 50 crores, whatever it is. And there are more than about 125 are in pipeline today for this technology development funding. So there is a sea change what is happening everywhere. And today, I can say in defense today, we have more than 2,000 industries which are working as Tier 1 and Tier 2 industries, who are producing many things, who are developing many things. And many of the private industries also have come up and try to support the bigger industries, or otherwise they themselves try to make a system. In fact, I like to give an example here. In this city, the Akash missile gets produced. Akash missile, which is a surface-to-air missile. Bharat Dynamics Limited is the lead integrator of that, which started producing large numbers. I don't want to get into the exact numbers, but large numbers. 85% by value, 85% by value is coming from private industries supporting the BDL from that. 85%. That's how the industry will come. And today, we opened the missiles, bombs, this which were going only to the DPSUs earlier, to private sector today. Lots of private industries are working on missiles, are working on these bombs and many other things, many sectors. In fact, today we brought a scheme called DCPP, a model that is called Development Cum Production Partner. So when I take a missile development, let us take a missile development, that means you are going to design, you are going to develop and you are going to produce it. So the mechanism used to be a laboratory takes it, then he designs and he develops, he makes prototypes and he tests himself. Then if it's successful, then armed forces agree and they also evaluate it. Then an industry is brought and technology is given to the industry, which used to happen. Now today the process is, the day when you got a project sanction, an industry is brought as a partner to you. That industry works with you right from the design stage. He is part and parcel of the design, part and parcel of the development. So he is also able to absorb, he is also able to quickly get all the technologies, he is able to understand, know how, know why. If there is a next version of the same product comes, the industry should be able to do. So this is the one concept which has been brought in. There are 75, more than 75 DCPPs which have come in forward, and more than 35 to 40 are private industries in that, including missiles and bombs. This is one of the things which is again going as a revolution, where things are also happening very quick because of it. There is no serial thing which is happening. You design, you develop and then test it, evaluate it, offer it to armed forces, they test it, and then you give it to industry later, technology, and again you get produced and again you test it and all that. So these all have been compressed a lot, a time period. This is very important actually, how we bring in the models. Now, actually, we are working on a different model today, special purpose vehicles for special products. You have, let's say, example, you take an aircraft you need to develop in the country. There is an SPV which will be formed, a laboratory, an industry, join together, you form an SPV, and then you have a lot more flexibility. Industry is joining together, you are as a one company, and you will be able to work together. And the mechanisms become very simpler, processes are simpler, the flexibility is much better, and try to work in that model and take on from there upgradations, next versions or better products or whatever it is or required is one more model. This is another thing which we are very seriously working today to come out with this model and make the systems come faster from this. So that's how, with all these, many of these things, the industries have come up, they have developed in a big way. So today the timelines what we are offering for even for aircraft developments also much shorter compared to with what it was about 15 years back or 10 years back, because the ecosystem has developed. In a country, we have to develop the whole ecosystem. It can't be one particular organization or lab is very good. You need to have good academia, good professors and good research happening in academia. There should be a good lab where lots of things happening very fast, dynamically, lot of applied research, lot of translation research happening. And then there is an industry base, both youngsters side, having startups and others, otherwise MSMEs and large scale industry. And that is what is called ecosystem. And then there is a continuous process for skill development also. You should have lots of people coming out in that area who are skilled employees who can be directly absorbed by the industry or anyone who works on this. So this is what is ecosystem, and we need to work on that ecosystem, making everything together, an inclusive development, and everyone is part of it. They have to play what their role they need to play, and then all of them taking out a synergetic approach is what is the most important thing today. So that is how, as I said, all these models have been worked out and they're being continuously worked out. Wherein trying to support industry, come out in design and development, come out in R&D, and then bring in industry, academia. In fact, let me give a small example. We have about 10 centers of excellence in many academic institutes. They work in very specific areas. Somebody works in propulsion, somebody works in lasers, microwaves and related things and something like that and all that. In various, somebody works in materials, all these things. So the professors and scientists of DRDO, they work together. There are research associates who work there and they come out with outcomes. So now, recently we changed the name of them as DRDO Industry Academia. The three together join and try to work on that. And one of the best examples recently, mostly the final stages of testing is going on in Delhi IIT, the Center of Excellence has come out with one of the lightest bulletproof jacket. Working on various material technologies and then fabrication technologies and whatnot and all that. And this is a synergetic approach between all the stakeholders happening. So this is one of the important models this country should come out. That is what actually has been incorporated in the education policy also. How do you come out with research outcomes? How do you come out with a lot of innovations? How do you come out with a lot of practical solutions? And these are to be thoroughly work together and see that we are able to come out with these advanced technologies and systems and all that. So what I'm saying is the environment is, the government is fully looking for this type of changes and see that the country is not a major importer and looking for to be a leading exporter. Convert from being importing a lot to go into a leading exporter. And that is how the country naturally and definitely will become economically stronger and prosperous. And for that, it's all in our hands where we need to work on those technologies and those S&T, science and technology research, and come out with most advanced technological solutions. In fact, I always say that it should not be that somebody develops and somebody comes out with a solution somewhere else in an advanced nation, then we also develop it after a couple of years or so, whichever it is later. This follower concept should change. We should become leaders. Yes, this country definitely has become leaders in some of the specific areas, and then we have come out with solutions and we have put, now we say, look at ISRO the way they have been doing, PSLV, GSLV, and Gaganyaan, Mangalyaan, whatnot, and all that. Many things, you are no less than anybody in the world. And similarly, many things have been done in many areas. If you look at when we did the Mission Shakti anti-satellite test, we have become the fourth nation in the world after US, Russia and China. You only have demonstrated this capability. So like us, today you talk about air independent propulsion which goes into a submarine. We are one of the very few countries who are developed in that, in this. But then you should not be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 where you are naming them. It should be many or most of the areas. And that is where we should work. So we should be very clear what would be the world needing or what the world is going to come after 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 4 years or 10 years. And we should have a plan to work. We should have a roadmap towards that. Whether some of that academia works, some of the work labs does, some of the work where industry and laboratory are working together. And this roadmap, if we have and we work towards that roadmap, and this lagging with respect to the world goes off and we start becoming the leaders and we start exporting the big thing. I'm sure in the coming years, definitely IICT would be able to take this nation forward a lot, come out with many technologies, many products and many things which actually makes this country proud of and which makes the country that we have led in this area and promote industries with these technologies what are developed by you, taking that industry is globally supplying, making the entire nation prosperous. Once again, my best wishes to you on this occasion of the Foundation Day, and I'm sure in the coming years you'll flourish in a big way, and my best wishes towards that. Jai Hind, Namaskar, thank you.